Wow.
We all know that Blue Ivy came from a surrogate.
Yep.
They shut that hospital down like a president had just been shot.
But there are actually a lot of people that believe this rumor, and it's crazy. I guess there are some crazy celebrities in the world, so we get a bad rep.
Jaguar Wright is at it again. And every time she speaks up, the whole industry gets tense fast. You already know how this goes. Once she starts talking, people in Hollywood start looking nervous and real uncomfortable. But this time, she's not calling out Diddy or Clive Davis. No, she's aiming way higher, straight at music's power couple Beyonce and Jay-Z. Now, she's making bold claims about Blue Ivy's birth, saying a story we've all believed might not be the full truth. And now the whispers are getting louder again, spreading everywhere. The big question hanging in the air is simple but serious. Could Jaguar actually be right this time, too? Because let's be real, last time she started speaking out like this, people brushed her off quick. They laughed, called her crazy, said she needed help, and didn't take a single word seriously. But then years later, those lawsuits and documentaries about Diddy started popping up everywhere. And suddenly, the mood changed real fast. Nobody was laughing anymore. So now with Jaguar speaking on Beyonce, the internet isn't so quick to joke this time. People are pausing, looking closer and side-eyeing everything. It's more like, hold up, what if she's telling the truth again? But before jumping to wild conclusions, let's rewind to the exact moment that had everybody questioning everything. This goes back to when Beyonce's baby bump had the whole internet in a chokehold and people couldn't stop talking about it. It was 2011 and Beyonce was glowing like never before. The Carters were running the game on top of the world and everything felt picture perfect. Then came that iconic VMA performance, her big fairy tale style reveal. She dropped the mic, unbuttoned that sparkly jacket, rubbed her belly, and the crowd lost it completely. Cameras were
When we all watched her get on TV with that fake pregnancy belly that folded over,
Yep.
she sat down. The timeline of when she delivered Blue Ivy lines up almost perfect with the timeline of when Kathy White would have delivered. Couldn't get pregnant. Not naturally, not normally.
flashing everywhere, and Jay-Z was in the audience looking proud, smiling from ear to ear. In that one powerful moment, Baby Blue was already treated like royalty before even being born. But then things took a sharp turn when Beyoncé appeared on an Australian talk show. She was calm, smiling, glowing, and clearly pregnant until she leaned forward, and that's when people started doing double takes. Her stomach seemed to fold in a way that had viewers confused, like it didn't move the way they expected. The clip spread like wildfire online, and people started analyzing every second like it was evidence in a major case. They zoomed in, slowed it down, replayed it over and over, and to many watching, it didn't look like natural movement. It looked like the bump actually collapsing. Some people brushed it off, saying it was just the dress moving funny, nothing serious. But others weren't buying that at all. They were convinced it pointed to something way deeper. That one moment lit a fire online, sparking years of theories, debates, and nonstop breakdowns from every angle. Just like that, the whole Beyoncé bump investigation took off, and the internet went into full chaos mode. Talk shows, gossip blogs, YouTubers, everybody had an opinion.
But what this moment exposed to some even caught us by surprise. Here it is again, slowed down. As Beyoncé sits down with Molly Meldrum, her dress folds. That crease caused a worldwide controversy.
And everybody picked a side fast. It turned into a full-blown discussion that just wouldn't die down. Beyoncé herself shut it down, calling it the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard, and even addressed it in her 2013 documentary, Life is But a Dream. She also spoke openly about going through a miscarriage before having Blue, sharing how painful that experience was for her. She described that pregnancy as a miracle, her second chance, something deeply personal and emotional that meant everything to her. Even some magazines tried to cool things down, quoting sources close to the couple who insisted everything was normal and nothing strange was going on. But even with all that PR talk, the internet refused to let it go because people kept asking one big question. If it was all just a rumor, why did everything around the birth feel so intense? When Blue Ivy was born, reports described heavy security everywhere, guards at doors, limited access, and strict privacy rules for staff. It had people talking, saying it felt less like a regular hospital visit and more like a high-level lockdown situation. When Beyoncé went into labor, Lenox Hill Hospital in New York reportedly had tight security measures in place with claims that a whole floor was reserved for privacy. Some reports even said the cost of maintaining that level of privacy reached over $1.3 million, which
seems like people should have boundaries. There's certain things that you just shouldn't play around with. And a child, you don't play around with that. And especially after losing a child, the pain and trauma from that just makes it mean so much more to get an opportunity to bring life into the world.
Only added more fuel to the conversation online. There were stories from other families saying access in certain areas was restricted during that time, and that only made the rumors spread faster. The hospital responded and pushed back on some of those claims, but by then the online chatter had already taken off. People kept asking, why so much security? Why so much secrecy? And why so many rules? And right when things started settling down, Jaguar Wright stepped back in and turned everything up again. She claimed all that money wasn't just about privacy. It was something else entirely. According to her, Beyoncé didn't give birth that night at all. And that's where things got even more intense. Jaguar mentioned one name, and instantly the internet lit up again. Kathy White. Now, if you're wondering who Kathy White was, she wasn't just some random name being thrown around. She was known as a PR consultant and fitness coach who moved within high-level circles connected to major figures in the entertainment world. Kathy was said to be around elite industry spaces, crossing paths with powerful names like Jay-Z and Diddy, which is
started really getting into your story when the intersection of the story of Kathy White came back into my life.
His alleged mistress, who was Kathy White. Long story short, I got a hold of her and she was considering doing an interview with me, talking about her alleged affair with Jay-Z.
Exactly why her name popping up in these claims got people talking even more. There are old photos of Kathy floating around online Vegas parties, exclusive events, private gatherings where she's right there beside major names, laughing, holding a drink, and looking completely at home in that elite world. It's the kind of presence that made people pay attention once her name started trending. According to Jaguar, Kathy White wasn't just someone who knew the Carters. She claims Kathy played a much bigger role in a hidden story. Jaguar even goes as far as saying Kathy was the one actually carrying the child, claiming the timelines lined up in a way she believes wasn't coincidence. She points to how during that same period, Beyoncé began showing publicly, which she says raised questions for her. And then comes the part that really got people talking. Not long after Beyoncé's reported delivery, Kathy White passed away.
Carter is just as bad as the diddler. And I know that for a fact. I got the scars to prove it.
And that news shocked those who knew of her. She was only 28, described as healthy and full of life, and her sudden death was reported as a brain aneurysm. That timing mixed with the claims being made is what pushed the conversation into overdrive online, with people connecting dots and raising more questions and answers. But here's where things take a darker turn. Journalist Liz Krogan reportedly said she had an interview scheduled with Kathy just days before her passing. And according to her, Kathy was preparing to speak publicly about something serious. What exactly that was, no one knows for sure. And that mystery only made everything feel even more unsettling. Is it coincidence? Maybe. But if you ask Jaguar, she'll shut that idea down quick. She's made it clear she doesn't believe in coincidences at all. Jaguar goes further, claiming Kathy was pregnant with Jay-Z's child and suggesting that the baby could have been Blue Ivy. It sounds shocking, almost too extreme to take at face value. And a lot of people reacted exactly like that first, but then people started remembering. This isn't the first time Jaguar has made bold claims that sounded unbelievable in the moment. Years ago, many dismissed her statements about Diddy, calling her delusional until lawsuits, documentaries, and headlines began surfacing that shifted public opinion. Now, more people online are second-guessing their reactions, wondering if there's more to what she's saying this time. 2. Jaguar presents her claims like pieces of a bigger puzzle, saying the situation follows a pattern she's been pointing out for years. Allegations involving powerful figures silent, and situations that raise difficult questions. She's also made past claims about other high-profile situations, including statements about Kim Porter's passing, suggesting there were unanswered questions there as well. Even comments from people connected to that situation have kept conversations going online. Now, Jaguar is bringing that same energy toward Jay-Z, making it clear she believes there's more beneath the surface. That line alone gave people chills, spreading fast and hitting hard. It's intense, no doubt about it.
And a couple days later, this beautiful, seemingly healthy 28-year-old woman just dies mysteriously. We were told it was a brain aneurysm. There was a lot of secrecy around.
Jaguar speaks with a tone that makes people feel like she's seen things most haven't. Whether people believe her or not, one thing is clear. They can't stop paying attention. Fans can sometimes read way too deep into things. But at the same time, some of Beyoncé's lyrics have people raising eyebrows. In songs like Heaven and Daughter, she touches on loss and letting go with lines like heaven couldn't wait for you and your body laid out. That hit emotionally for a lot of listeners. For many, those are powerful expressions of grief and motherhood, especially considering what she has shared publicly. But for others, especially those already questioning things, those same lyrics start to sound different. They hear something deeper, like hidden meaning or emotions wrapped in music that feel a little too specific to ignore. To them, it doesn't sound like just art. It sounds like something more personal being expressed in a quiet way. Of course, Beyoncé has openly spoken about experiencing a miscarriage before Blue, and those songs can easily connect to that real and painful moment in her life. But for people who still have doubts, the lyrics feel like clues, like pieces of a story they believe hasn't been fully explained. So when someone as private and controlled as Beyoncé sings about loss in such vivid ways, it keeps the conversation going. And for some, it brings everything right back to those questions surrounding that time period. Fans don't always hear poetry. Sometimes they hear confession, and that's where things...
When Beyoncé got on that stage with that fake baby bump,
Oh, yeah.
it was lined up with the same timing of where Kathy White would have been in her second trimester.
Things get intense. But there's one person who's always stood 10 toes down for Beyoncé. It's her mother, Tina Knowles. She's been right there on the front lines for years, shutting down rumors before they spiral out of control. And when these claims started spreading, Tina was not letting that slide at all. She called out the situation directly, saying media outlets helped push a harmful rumor that Beyoncé was faking her pregnancy, making it clear how damaging that kind of talk can be. In her memoir, Matriarch, Tina opened up even more, explaining how painful it was to watch people question something so personal. She spoke about the emotional weight Beyoncé carried, especially after going through multiple miscarriages, and how hard it was just to reach that moment of finally carrying a baby to term. She described the situation with raw emotion, making it clear how unfair it felt to have the world criticizing during such a sensitive time. She even expressed it strongly, saying, "Y'all are not going to kill my children with this madness," showing just how protective she is as a mother. Fame can be ruthless, turning deeply personal experiences into public debates overnight. Tina also explained that Beyoncé has always guarded her privacy closely to protect her peace. But the reality is the public conversation doesn't always respect those boundaries. Once a story sticks, it doesn't just fade away. It lingers, especially when it's tied to someone as powerful and carefully private as Beyoncé. When a narrative like this takes hold, it keeps resurfacing no matter how much time passes. Now, here's the part that keeps people locked in. Jaguar might not have clear proof laid out, but she's built a reputation for making bold claims that people dismiss at first, only for parts of those situations.
From this point forward, any word that I say, I ain't holding back.
And I ain't saying alleged either. Y'all said I was lying the first time. Now it turns out I'm telling the truth. You still don't want to admit that I was right, but you don't want to admit that you was wrong. So really, then the diplomacy doesn't matter. F you.
To gain attention later. That pattern is exactly why some people are still paying close attention now. She's called out situations before that others laughed off. And over time, more details came out that made people rethink everything. And what really stands out is how she delivers it. There's no hesitation, no fear of backlash in her tone. Jaguar speaks with a kind of confidence that grabs attention, like someone who's already dealt with pressure and isn't backing down. The way she names names and connects details keeps people listening, even when what she's saying sounds hard to believe. Beyoncé, and let's be honest, her level of perfection is exactly what keeps these rumors alive. She's so polished, so precise, so in control of her image that some people start to question if everything they see is the full picture. To fans, it can almost feel too perfect, like every move is calculated down to the smallest detail. And then you've got Jaguar Wright, who is a complete opposite energy. She's raw, unfiltered, loud, and says exactly what's on her mind without dressing it up. That contrast is what pulls people in because next to Beyoncé's untouchable image, Jaguar feels more real to some viewers. So, even without solid proof, Jaguar becomes a kind of voice the internet keeps pushing forward. People tune in because her version is unpredictable, messy, and let's be honest, hard to ignore. It's not polished. It's not packaged. It feels off the cuff, and that makes it more gripping for a lot of people.